This is the Chuck Smith Show on Cape Atlantic Live, giving you the latest news on all things Mainland Regional Football. Now here's your host, Nick Kosko, and Mustangs head coach, Chuck Smith.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live. I'm your host, Nick Kosko. As always, with me is head coach Chuck Smith of the undefeated Mainland Regional Mustangs, 11-0, fresh off a 49-7 win in the South Jersey Group 4 sectional semifinals over Colts Neck. And there's a sectional final, a little familiar, coming up on Friday night at Millville. Coach, please, you're with me as always. Congratulations on another big win. Guys are keeping it rolling right now. And then now this is the game I think everybody's been talking about pretty much all year, the one they wanted back, they wanted to see again from 2022. It's you guys and Millville at Wheaton Field on Friday. This has to be, it's finally time, I would say. It's finally time to talk about this.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for having us again. You guys do a tremendous job with this show, and so many people give me so much feedback about this. It's amazing how many people watch it, not just our Mainland people, but people outside the Mainland community. Because, I get texts from people all over the country about this. So thank you and Matt for doing this all season long.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't say like we're not really hyped up about this opportunity. It's something you hoped for at one point in time, but you never know if it will ever come to fruition. And now here we are, and like we said to the kids, this is something we spoke about the first week of July at our first team meeting in July. And it seems like yesterday when we had that conversation in the classroom, and now all of a sudden here we are getting ready for the biggest game of the season on Friday night.
I know the playoff brackets were, they're all based on the math and the PowerPoints, the UPR ratings, all that good stuff, the OSI. So when you put that all together, it's tough to kind of predict that you were going to see them again at this point of the season. Maybe you thought, well, maybe we'll see them again in a state semifinal just like last year. Did you anticipate this type of situation where maybe you guys are in the same sectional bracket this year and it's a little bit earlier than you had this big game before that point of where you guys were last year?
No, not really. You never know where it's going to fall. It's hard nowadays to try to figure all that stuff out, and 16 teams and the snaking of the bracket and so forth. We had a feeling there'd be a good chance of meeting them again at some point in time, whether it was in the sectional area or maybe a state semifinal type of game. If we're both fortunate enough to get there, but it just happens to be a week earlier than it was last year.
Absolutely. So last year you guys did play them on a neutral field. This time going to Wheaton Field, a little bit different. I know you guys were hoping for maybe that chance at a final home game here to host either, again, the sectional final that is coming up or obviously a state semifinal. But what's it like going to their place this time rather than going out there? You guys went out to Cherokee last year, played a tight game with Millville. What's it like going to their house this time around?
Millville is such a tradition-rich football program from way back when, you always hear stories about John Barbos, the legendary coach from back in, I think it was 1950s. And, of course, Coach Serace and his teams from the 70s all the way up and through the 90s. I got to play against Millville when I was a kid at Mainland, and it was always a special place to me to go there and play because it's such a football-passionate community. The atmosphere is tremendous. I remember him always playing Thunderstruck. On the loudspeaker by AC/DC and banging her pads, Millville. It's a little bit different now, but I think our kids are going to really enjoy the atmosphere. They built this beautiful facility now, brand new turf field, and the track looks awesome. The scoreboard and play clocks in the end zone. Our kids, I don't think it's great to have a home game. Don't get me wrong with that.
Yeah.
But just to be in this championship game and the atmosphere will be there once the kickoff goes, you forget where you really are, kind of, I think the kids are just going to really love the atmosphere that's going to be there Friday night. I know we're bringing a lot of people from Mainland to Millville, and they always have a great home crowd there. So I'm expecting it to be one of the most, attended games that we've played in this season.
It's definitely one of the games of the week, I would say, is across the entire state. When you're looking at all the sectional championship games across all the enrollment groups, North, Central, South, wherever the case may be, this is one of the games of the week. So one more on this game coming up before we recap the Colts Neck victory. I need your thoughts on head coach Humberto Ayala, who's over there at Millville. It's only his second season, but he was on the staff for quite a while. So he has seen and coached a lot of success in this program. It's been a very successful program for years now, especially as of late. Regional champions the other year. Obviously, they end up winning the state title just last year, the first ever New Jersey Group 4 state title. And they play a tight game with you guys to do it. But he's only in his second season as head coach, and he's been able to keep the momentum going. After losing to defending state champion Toms River North in the opening game of the year, they have not lost a single game, and they've looked pretty much dominant, I would say, across the board. A couple of tight calls here and there, but other than that, they are one of the best teams in South Jersey as well. Just the job that he's done over at Millville. I mean, what have you seen from an opposing sideline?
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job. They have a great high school football program. And, I was talking to Mike McGarry last night about this. It really got going. They were good, like I said before, through the 70s, 80s, into the 90s. And then they kind of fell upon some hard times after I think it was Dave Heck left the program. And then all of a sudden they fell in some hard times. And then when Jason Durham took over around 2010, he was able to start building the pieces back together in Millville. And he did a great job. And I believe they went to a sectional final, lost to Pennsauken back then. And he really got it going again. And then you had Thomas come in after that. Coach Thomas came in, and they won the first sectional title with him. But you could see it was slowly evolving. He kept it status quo. They weren't losing the kids to the non-publics anymore. They were keeping the kids in Millville. They have a great staff over there, and Coach Aya has done the same thing. He's kind of kept it there. He has a good staff there with Chuck Core, his defensive coordinator, who's a great defensive mind over there. And they have the dudes. They have across the board. I was saying to other people, they check the boxes at almost every single solitary position there. They've done a great job of maintaining a program, and that's always a hard thing to do in a public school, to have that consistency all the time. That's what you always strive to do when you're building a football program, is have consistency year to year. You might have some peaks and valleys there, but they've really have taken it to a different level the past several years there.
Certainly seems like it. So we'll get more into Millville and previewing that sectional final coming up in just a little bit. So let's look back real quick at the game over Colts Neck, a 49-7 win, your final home game of the year, sectional semifinals. Dominant win, from wire to wire. It got a little tight at one point, but again, as you guys have done pretty much all year, you get ahead a little bit, maybe the team strikes back a little bit, and then all of a sudden you guys just keep your foot on the gas pedal, create some turnovers, get some big plays on offense, and all of a sudden it's pretty much over by the time we hit the third quarter. I mean, what did you see from the response from your team, considering it was 21-7 and they actually got back into the football game?
Yeah, they were they were a challenging team because of their run game. Having one of the best running backs in the state with a Scully kid, who I think it was like at 1,400 yards and 25 touchdowns coming into the game, somewhere around there. And we knew we had to really shut them down. They had some big linemen that we had to deal with. And we knew we felt confident offensively that we could move the ball on them, and we proved that the other night. But I really liked the way our kids came out and played the football game on both sides of the ball. And on defense, we might have given up the touchdown early, and they drove on us in that one drive early in the first quarter. It was before the interception. But the kids played well, and they played with such passion out there. And I think part of it was possibly our last home game at the time, and it was a chance to get to the sectional final. Also, it was a driving force for us. And I think the kids, when they smelled blood, they really went after it, and were able to close the door on that game. It was just a great all-around performance in every phase of the game, even special teams the other night.
Yeah, definitely. You guys were definitely like sharks in the water for sure. So let's take a look at some of the highlights from Friday's contest. So we're going to start out with Rocco DiBiaso's touchdown. This is what opened the game up for you guys to go up 7-0.
Yeah, I thought we did a great job on this play of blocking on this play. And Rocco's a very good running back. And, everybody thinks of him as a great blocker and a physical person, but he also has that burst of speed, which he showed. He's had a couple big runs this season for us. But it was a great job at the point of attack of our offensive line. Our offensive line coaches do a great job, led by Coach Clyde Folsom and Brian Booth and Andrew Monroe do a great job coaching all week long with the kids. And they're really like, attention to detail is our big thing with our offensive line. That showed right there with that play. It was a nice way to start the game, second play of the game, getting a touchdown.
Absolutely. And just real quick, when you guys go up 7-0, then of course they're driving, as you just mentioned before. Jamie Tyson gets that great pick six. I mean, he's just scoring all over the place. He's making plays all over the place, offense and defense. It's 14-0. And then at a certain point, Colts is just trying to get some drives together. At one point, it is 21-7 after Chris Scully's touchdown. It was a lone touchdown for Colts in that game. But at that point, you guys, like we said before, sharks in the water, the kids smell blood, so it's time to go right after them. So this next play that we'll look at here is this touchdown right before the end of the half to go up 28-7. Nice little touchdown pass right here from John Franchini to the aforementioned Jamie Tyson.
Yeah, and a lot of times we rely on our play action because we're such a run-heavy team, and the play action can open things up. And Jamie has just taken his play in football to a different level the second half of the season, really. And the same with the quarterback, John Franchini. He's been a different player the second half of the season also. And it was a great score because I think there was maybe 2 minutes or so left in the half, and it gave us that 28 we responded to their score with a score, which is what you always want to do, is how you respond. And, we gave up that touchdown, cut the lead to 14, and we were able to take the ball, drive down the field, and get another touchdown on the board before half, what we thought would be the last score before half.
Yeah, I thought you guys did a great job of what you've pretty much done all season long, which is the end of the second quarter seems to where I'm not going to say you guys are peaking at the end of the second quarter, but it just seems like that is where you really step on the gas and you just make the other team feel so deflated going into the halftime locker room.
Yeah, it's a tribute to the kids. It's just the mentality we have out there. We really pride ourselves on our effort level all the time. The pursuit to the football, the driving force on offense. Every time we get the ball, our goal is to score, not just to move the ball, it's to score. And the kids really have accepted that mindset this season, and it shows in their performance.
So the third play we'll look at is the ensuing kickoff right after that Tyson touchdown. You get a fumble recovery on this kickoff, and this eventually led to a touchdown right before the half, like I mentioned, go 35-7. But what happened here?
Well, the kid from Coltsneck just mishandled the ball first, but you can see the pursuit of all of our kickoff team down there. And Connor Callum, one of our seniors who's been in the program his whole time, made a hit to pop the ball off. And one of our juniors, James Barrett, recovered the fumble deep into their territory with just seconds remaining in the half right there. But it's really, the coverage. I mean, you look at this and the kid misplayed it and able to get down a little further. But as you go across the screen here, you just see green jerseys all over the place swarming to the ball, and the kids saw there was an opportunity to make a big play right there. Did we anticipate another turnover right there? No, not at all. But, we were just fortunate to get that bounce and go our way to give us a chance to score again before halftime.
Yeah, absolutely. It just seems I got to give a lot of credit. I played a lot of special teams in high school, so I got to give a credit to when special teams makes a play. I always say it could make you lose or win probably around 2 games a season. So I would say that definitely helped the win on Friday. Just as you mentioned, the pursuit to the football from your kickoff team. Yeah,
it was one of those things where we just came off that big touchdown with Jamie and John connecting, and we had the momentum going, and then all of a sudden you have a play like that. And a lot of times I'm always worried about taking the foot off the gas on the ensuing kickoff and somebody getting a good return and then getting a little momentum go the other way. But the kids proved me wrong on that, and we're right down there and bang, caused a turnover, and we got the ball back to score again.
And then early in the third quarter, this was the second to last touchdown of the evening for you guys. Stephen Ordilli, your leading rusher, got one, broke right through the hole, and broke one for over 60 yards.
Yeah, Stephen's had a great season this year. He ran for 141 yards against Coltsneck, and I think he only had 10 carries in the game. And Steve's the type of kid that sees what's in front of him very well, is great at reading the blocks, not just of the linemen, but also of the downfield blocks at the second and third level. And on top of that, he just has a great burst of speed too. He's a hard kid to tackle. And he really put in a lot of effort. It's one of those kids that when you're trying to convince kids that they need to be in the weight room in the off season, he's one of those kids that bought into that a couple of years ago and was in there at our 5:30 a.m. lifts. And it shows this whole season. He's a true two-way ball player, a warrior on our football team. And, that just shows what he put into it in the offseason is paying it forward right now during the season and in these money games that we're having.
Absolutely. I wanted to give a nod to Chris Scully, one of the running back you did face on Friday. He was a guy that just always fell forward, and I feel like that's exactly what Stephen Ordilli has done all season long. He never gets caught in the backfield, always keeps the legs moving. If he's gonna get stuffed, coach, which was very rare this year, it's probably gonna be right at the line of scrimmage, if not maybe a yard or two ahead. It seems like he's always leaning forward, and if he gets through that first burst or that first, I would say, contact, then all of a sudden he's going to be in the second level, or he's breaking it to the end zone.
Yeah, he's a very good running back. I think he's getting close to 1,300 yards on the season, 21 rushing touchdowns. And I can't say enough about Steve. He's one of our team captains. He's been a 2-year team captain, which is saying something when you get picked as a team captain as a junior. And he's a four-year starter too for us. He started the first 2 seasons in the secondary for us, and he was one of those guys that kind of was in there before his time. And but he's like having another coach on the football field, especially in the defensive secondary. I can't say enough about him, and he really seldom comes off the field because he's on almost every special team also, and he never tries to tap out. He loves playing football, and it's awesome to have him on our football team.
The true 60-minute man, or in the high school case, 48-minute man. Yeah. So we're going to step aside and take a quick break. More of the preview of Millville coming up in the South Jersey Group 4 sectional finals on Friday as Mainland heads out to Wheaton Field. Keep it locked here. It's Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live.
This Cape Atlantic Live production of Mainland Regional Football is brought to you by Charlie's Bar and Restaurant, The Docks Place, Orio's Bar and Grill, Shore Orthopedic, Golden Nugget Atlantic City Casino Hotel and Marina, Edmunds GovTech, Darcy Johnson Day Law Firm, and Ulmer's Appliance Service.
Welcome back to the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live. Nick Kosko alongside with Mainland head coach Chuck Smith. So, Coach, again, every game in the playoffs right now is a one-game season. It's one and done. It's win or go home. This is not the end of it. Of course, the team has bigger aspirations to get further than, as we've been talking about all season long, get further than 2022, which was that state semifinal. But first, sectional final time, trying to repeat as sectional champions. But you have the defending state champions in your way. As we mentioned before, the Millville Thunderbolts, 9-1 in the season, have won 9 in a row, one of the hottest teams in New Jersey. They're loaded. I got to say, they are loaded. And then it just seems like every year they get bigger, especially along the offensive and defensive lines, and they fly to the football. I feel like you want to say it every week. This is the biggest team we face. This has to be the biggest team you faced all year now. Yeah,
they're probably the biggest and most athletic team that we face. But, when you get to this point in the season, this is how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You're facing the best of the best now. Nothing against anybody else that was in the playoffs, because sometimes there's upsets and whatever happens. But hey, each week you advance, the challenge gets bigger, And if you're going to be the best, guess what? You got to beat the best. And Millville right now is the best, and they've been that way. They're defending state champs, defending South Jersey Group 4 champions. And, they're in the way of our goal right now. And we're going to do whatever it takes on Friday night to prevail.
An undefeated season is obviously within the grasp for you guys at 11-0 right now. It just seems like, hey, 3 more games, you're 14-0, state champions. So, but this game first, again, as I mentioned before, they are loaded, especially on the offensive side of the football. Lots of talent. Starts with quarterback Jacob Zaman, a senior. He's been one of the better quarterbacks in South Jersey, if not the entire state as of late. 19 touchdowns to his name this year, nearly 2,000 yards. So what do you see from Millville's star quarterback?
Yeah, he whatever you want to write down about the quarterback you want on your team, he's that guy. We went against him in a 7-on-7 2 summers ago, and he just looked the part. Looked like the quarterback. Like he wanted to be the man in charge. He wasn't just some kid out there throwing the ball around. He showed a command of the offense, pocket presence. And the other thing, he hurt us a little bit last year was he has scrambling ability also. He's very accurate passer. I know he's going to play at the next level. He's a very good high school quarterback.
No doubt. So Lotzier Brooks is the other one out there. Division I offers across the board for the junior wide receiver. He has been absolutely unbelievable, both sides of the football. Really hard to stop, and I think he's pretty much burned every secondary. So what do you do with a guy like that who can also carry out of the backfield if they wanted to, but obviously he is the big play threat. He can make guys miss in space, one of the best athletes in the entire state. How do you stop, or at least maybe even contain a guy like Lazier Brooks?
Yeah, I don't know if you can stop him. I mean, he's been on fire the last couple of weeks on both sides of the ball. He might be one of the top 5 kids I've ever seen in high school football in this area. And I've seen a lot of guys who are 30-some years that were tremendous and played at the next level and at the NFL. But the impact that he has on a game on both sides of the football is, one of a kind. You just hope to contain him. That's what you really do. He's going to have some plays. He's too good not to have some plays, but you just hope to contain him. But the hard part about Millville is they got a few guys like that. He might be the top. He might be number 1, but they got some 1As and some Bs right behind him. With Hale, the other wide receiver, and then the running backs. I mean, they're a dangerous team on offense. You just hope you can somehow contain that and tackle them in space, because the amount of times that they can go from 0 to 100 in a millisecond, it looks like they catch the ball or they take a handoff and it looks like they get shot out of a cannon right away. It's rare to see that burst of speed. A lot of people, it takes them like 5 or 10 yards to get going. These guys, man, they can put their foot in the dirt and they're off and running right away. So they're a dangerous team. I said this before. They're a fun team to watch when you're not preparing for them. When you're preparing for them, it's a headache.
I could only imagine what the headache it's like to just say, all right, we have to do X, Y, and Z here on defense, and this is how we're going to counteract their defense when we're on offense. And looking at Brooks' stats, these are basically NFL numbers at this point through 10 games, 54 catches, 1,049 yards, and 16 touchdowns as a wide receiver. And, of course, Naeem Sharp at running back, one of their leading rushers, actually their leading rusher, 515 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. They like to spread the ball around a little bit more running back by committee, kind of like you guys as well. But, again, they can really air it out. You mentioned Teron Hale, 32 catches, 544 yards, and 4 touchdowns to his name as well. So very dominant on the offensive side of the football. And you mentioned the fact that they can really get after the quarterback and basically do the same things on defense as well. What's his name? Darian Blakowitz. I almost wanted to mispronounce his name right there. 8 sacks for him on the defensive line. He's got to be one of the guys you're looking at. All right, maybe we need to double team him a little bit more than other teams have.
Yeah, they're as good as their offense is. Their defense, I think, might be better. They're very good defensively. I mean, we had our hands full last year playing them in the state semifinal. Watching them on tape this year, I think they've gotten much better. They have some defensive linemen that are not only have size, but they're explosive and very quick off the football. Their linebackers move around, and they're tremendous at reading plays and stopping people. And then they have their secondary they just have speed back there. I mean, they can close in on the ball within a second. They're a dangerous team. They have the big play potential on offense. When you're watching the games of them, they go bang, bang, and then all of a sudden there's a 40-yard play, a 50-yard play, a 60-yard play, and then same thing on defense. I think they have something like 9 defensive touchdowns this year. They swarm to the football, they create turnovers, they're able to make big plays, and that's such a momentum shifter when a defense can score for you. It's deflating to an offense. So, we got our hands full all around for this one.
No doubt. A couple more for you, Coach, before we sign off. Just the atmosphere that you are expecting at Wheaton Field. Again, you mentioned you're going to bring a big-time mainland contingent over to Millville. What does this mean for Northfield, Summers Point, and Linwood, the entire mainland community, to get back to this point? It's a very familiar opponent. And again, it's an old-school Cape Atlantic foe. It's who you faced in the state semifinals just last season. What is this game? I know it's a championship game, it's a sectional championship game. You're trying to get to your ultimate goal of a state championship to represent the entire state of New Jersey. But what does this game mean, this specific game mean this time around here in 2023?
I think for us, it's showing continuity, too, in our program. Sometimes when you make it to a championship, you wonder, is this a one-year wonder? And for us, we've been building this program for a couple of years. We had a couple of good seasons, then we had a couple of down seasons. And when you can go back to a sectional championship on consecutive years, that's the building of a program. And that's where you hope to be consistently. Now, are you always going to make it there? That's unrealistic to make it there every single year. But that's your goal, is to get to that far. And that's your expectation. That's what your program represents. And for us, that has elevated our entire community. We have tremendous youth programs in our community. And for all those kids that come out on Friday nights to the Mustang Corral to see these guys and playing at that high level, now going for another championship type of game, I think it just builds such a sense of camaraderie and pride in our community, not just the school, but live with Northfield and Summers Point, because we pride ourselves in being a community school. You know, it's not just Mainland High School and these kids come in from other places. You know, we try to embrace everybody around us, that we're all one. You know, it's one school, one family, one community. That's our motto with our school. And that's how we envision our football program also, as being that way. But, you know, this is where we want to be all the time. This is our expectation now, is to be at a championship level, you know, and that whether we hit it every year or not remains to be seen. But that's what we are striving for. That we knew going into this season, that's where we wanted to be. And we're here right now, you know, and I know when this season is over at some point in time, that'll be our goal for next season too, you know? So it is big to be back here again, you know, and it's going to be a great game on Friday night. I mean, we're really looking forward to it. The kids have been excited all week long. As soon as we walked into our team meeting on Monday, it was just, you could feel it in the atmosphere of the classroom as we walked in, just the excitement level and the kids. And it's been a buzz in school all week. I mean, there's been championships all week long, you know, with the cross country meet of champs coming up. Our volleyball team just won this first sectional championship in school history last night. So there's been this vibe in the building the whole week. And, you know, we had a shortened week due to the teachers convention coming up. And, you know, we have a little bit of a morning practice tomorrow, then a little bit of time off before we get ready to come in early on Friday to get ready for that championship game and hopefully bring another one back to the corral.
Well, you pretty much just answered my final question, which was the buzz about the players and the school. And, you know, you pretty much just answered it. It seems like the football energy is feeding off on the other athletic programs. Obviously, a big tip of the cap to the volleyball team for winning the South Jersey title as well. Cross country, obviously, in the championships as well, are competing for championships. So it seems like everything's feeding off. Everything's coming up Mainland right now. So, Coach, good luck on Friday, 6 p.m. at Millville. You guys will go for a second straight sectional title and try to get back to the New Jersey Group 4 state semifinals. That game will be on NJ.com. And spoiler alert, I will be actually in attendance and on the call for you guys once more, just a different capacity, but NJ.com this time around on Friday night. So looking forward to that one as well. Good luck once again when we get out there. I'll see you out there as well. And hopefully this is another exciting game, just like last season, but obviously for you guys, different outcome on the Mainland side of things.
Yeah, that's the plan. I really appreciate it, Dick. Looking forward to hopefully being on again next week.
Absolutely, Coach. Appreciate the time as always. Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live.